Okay, I'm Jeff, and this is You Teach the Machines, because you do. Introduction. Like billions of people around the world, you may have suddenly become familiar with the following words straight out of Silicon Valley or a futuristic movie: machine learning, Gen AI. Large language model, generative, training, GPT, explainability, neural network, deep learning, hallucination. These words are synonymous with artificial intelligence, AI, the computer systems we teach to do thinking work. Sometimes we teach machines to find patterns of information that we can't, given the flood of data in our digital lives. Sometimes we teach machines to do a specific task in a way that augments our life and supports the work we already do. The words above are casually thrown around by everyone from tech bros to journalists to advertisers to the AI assistants that are starting to pop up on every app and website. But they can distract from what is really going on. You've picked up this book or are watching this live stream because AI seemingly comes up in every job interview, work meeting, or classroom discussion, shows up in every search you do, invades your social media, and is splashed across all the advertisements. And this all seems to have happened overnight. What changed? Everything. And nothing at all. Everything because we, as a digital society, have reached a tipping point. Nothing at all because for 20 years, AI has been with us, becoming more and more capable behind the scenes. Is this scary? Exciting? What exactly is AI anyway? You are likely thinking, how is, quote, the machine already in my life without me being aware? How do I make the most of the most important innovation since we humans first wrote things down 5,000 years ago and then 575 years ago figured out how to print copies? How do I protect myself, the people I care about, my education, and my job? The truth is that you and me, our parents and kids, have been, quote, teaching the machine for years. We are all simultaneously consumers and producers in an AI economy that has been around for decades. This book is titled You Teach the Machines because it is fundamentally that simple. AI depends on you and me and everybody. The machine learns from the data you create, just as an infant learns the basics of language from the words you speak. The machine learns to do things that matter to you when you tell it right from wrong, just as a toddler learns grammar when you correct them. Many corporations have much to gain from AI appearing to be Oz the Great and Powerful. Something magical, an otherworldly black box. It's not. It's just a machine, often with a cynical man behind the curtain. A machine taught with your data and your feedback. The more we all understand AI for what it is, the more we can maximize benefit and minimize harm. You've been teaching AI for as long as you've been using Google, Amazon, social media, navigation apps, for as long as you've been going to the doctor or swiping your credit card. It's time to take charge and put AI to work for you. You teach the machines. I started my tech career in 1996 during another period of rapid change. The web was brand new, and data for the first time was considered an asset with a dollar value. A few years on, I started working in AI at Ask Jeeves, the first natural language internet search engine. 25 years later, I created a comprehensive data and AI program as the Chief Research Informatics Officer of a leading pediatric academic medical center. I left that job, one I loved, to write this book, to help all of us navigate the change of AI. If you, like most people, have a lot of questions, reservations, and even fears about AI, this book aims to demystify this groundbreaking technology and put your mind at ease. The chapters here will answer your questions about AI, including how did AI seemingly show up every night? How did AI seemingly show up everywhere overnight? There. What could change in my life because of AI? Can I trust AI? How do I use AI to make my life and my family's life better? From cuneiform to ChatGPT. Your questions are, for the most part, about change. Change from the old normal is always accompanied by uncertainty, and we as humans are hardwired to fear what we don't know. Artificial intelligence is a relatively recent arrival in human history. We don't yet share a widespread understanding of AI or a new normal of daily use. Our uncertainty and fear are entirely natural and understandable. This is revolutionary technology. Fundamentally, AI is a completely new way that we humans capture our knowledge. That hasn't happened since the Sumerians invented writing in ancient Mesopotamia around 3200 BC, and people no longer had to simply remember everything. Historians think the first writing, called cuneiform, was invented to give a customer a grocery receipt. Before cuneiform writing, the only way to capture information was for one person to remember what another person told them. That meant there was no written history, no written receipts. Imagine you figured out that leaving open jars of barley out in a rainstorm made beer, another Mesopotamian innovation from roughly the same time. You tell the recipe to your friend over a few beers, but after a few too many, you both forget what it was. Fast forward to a time when cuneiform writing has been invented, and you happen upon the barley in the rain trick again. This time, you write it down, and it gets passed along to generations thereafter. It's just coffee. From that point forward, it was possible to record human knowledge, leading to massive cultural changes and advancements. Writing made it possible for individual humans to record important knowledge and share it with relatively few other humans. AI makes it possible for us to collect massive amounts of digital knowledge to share with others worldwide, like ChatGPT, which incredibly incorporates information stolen, from a public archive of all the websites ever made called Common Crawl. Artificial intelligence is also an entirely novel way to broadly share, disseminate, and use human knowledge. This hasn't happened with such seismic consequences since serial entrepreneur Johannes Gutenberg figured out how to scale up book production with movable type in Mainz, Germany in 1450. Gutenberg borrowed heavily to do the R&D and engineering required to invent the printing press. His first book, copies of the 28-page Learn to Read Latin school book Ars Minor, the first part of an ancient text called Ars Grammatica. He's more famous for the next book he printed, the Bible, but it's notable that he started with an educational book, whether he did it intentionally or otherwise. In those days, you had to get to know Latin to get what might be called today an office job. Before Gutenberg, getting your kids started on Ars Grammatica meant paying a scribe much of a laborer's yearly wage to handwrite a copy with pen and ink. That meant only better off kids learned Latin and went to school. Whatever Johann Gutenberg intended, printing relatively cheap copies of the equivalent of Dick and Jane for Latin was an early example of doing right by doing well. The cheaper it was to learn to read, the more books he could sell. Eventually, a diaspora of trained printers who stole Gutenberg's technology set off an explosion of printing across Europe. A mere 50 years later, more than 12.5 million books had been printed. Printing made it possible for a single human to record important knowledge, then share it with millions of others so they could do stuff with the knowledge. This invention, more than any other, launched Europe and then the rest of the world into the modern era. This shifting of the earth is known as the Gutenberg effect. It's important to note that at the time, there was pushback against the printing press. Turns out the intellectual and ruling classes felt more secure when knowledge was captured and made available at great expense by scribes copying out books by hand. Secure in their stations, the ruling class viewed the work of a scribe as morally superior to the ink-stained labor of setting type and cranking a press. Classist snobbery was also fueled by the fact that the labor of printing was taken up by the lower classes. Indentured apprentices and servants opened new markets for popular books, very different from highbrow manuscripts. For example, Desiderius Erasmus's Widely read and sometimes banned books advocated the then radical idea that the church and monarchs should serve the people first. Newspapers, magazines, radio, television, and even the internet all extended the innovation of the printed book. All were initially disparaged. If you're of a similar vintage to me, you may remember some professors prohibiting the use of the internet to do research for your term paper. Be thoughtful about similar criticisms by today's intellectual elite as AI emerges and evolves. Know that some criticism of AI, not all, but some, as somehow inauthentic, may be in defense of the established cultural clout of experts. But also don't completely disregard these same experts who are justifiably nervous on our behalf. Some of their criticisms are valid, such as the potential for the erosion of critical thinking and writing skills due to the overuse of language AI. How does AI relate to writing in ancient Mesopotamia and printing in medieval Germany? Historical, disruptive, and ultimately constructive precedents of writing and printing help us understand changes in our lives caused by the emergence of AI. For now, consider that writing and then printing made it possible for the expertise, knowledge, and thoughts of a single human to spread through literacy and education to many other humans. At its worst, this can lead to Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. At its best, it can lead to Henry Gray's groundbreaking textbook Gray's Anatomy. Artificial intelligence can make it possible for human knowledge and expertise to spread even further, not just through other humans, but through machines we teach to augment our lives. Artificial intelligence makes it possible for us to capture the knowledge of many, maybe even all humans, and share it so that it can be used by many more, maybe even all. But just as the printing press amplified whatever you printed with it, AI can amplify whatever we teach it. Sometimes for the worst, such as in 2023, when hackers who couldn't write computer code themselves used AI to generate code that they then used to attack an email company. Sometimes for the better, when the same year biomedical researchers who couldn't write computer code themselves used the same AI to generate computer code at a prestigious hospital to get important data out of a database and greatly speed up their research. For better or worse, you teach the machines. We started with a discussion of writing and printing, historical precedents of innovation that sparked massive global change, very deliberately because AI burst into our world through the exact same door, language. That's all for now. Come back and we'll read some more.